Alternate airports are good for two things. One, they make you carry extra fuel.
Two, they make you go to the trouble of finding out where the weather is pretty good. But I can honestly say that in doing this for over 50 years, I'd never gone to a filed alternate until recently. Why? Because as the flight unfolded, there was always a better plan when the destination was below minimums. I'll give you an example. I was headed from New Jersey to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base one day to be on a program. Wright-Pat was foggy that morning, but it was forecast to be up to minimums by the time I got there, around 10 o'clock. I scoured the forecast for an alternate, and Indianapolis was the one that I selected. This was all done at 6 a.m. for an arrival at Wright-Pat 4 hours later. While I was en route over West Virginia, the controller called and said, "Hey, Wright-Pat is still 00, just for your information." I was on top of the fog, but there was a higher overcast above. Most forecasts of fog clearing by a certain time are based on the anticipation that the skies above the fog are clear and that the sun will burn the fog away. I was only about an hour or so out. It was still 00 at Wright-Pat, and it would not likely be up to 200 feet by the time I reached there. Should I go scare myself flying and missing an approach in impossible conditions? Should I go to the filed alternate, Indianapolis? Why bother? At the time, I was around Morgantown, West Virginia. They had an ILS, a 500-foot ceiling, and a mile visibility. So I landed at Morgantown, had some coffee, and when the visibility at Wright-Pat started to improve, I took off and then made the approach there in conditions that were slightly above minimums. Because I don't believe in taking a look in most cases, I don't continue toward a destination if the weather is below minimums and likely to stay that way through my ETA. I just don't want the temptation of trying to force the approach to work. Nor do I want to miss the approach, fly to the alternate, get some holding, and be entertained by fuel gauges that are singing that old 30 minutes to silence song. The way I have usually picked my real alternates is by considering the last airport that I overfly that has an approach and weather at or above minimums as the alternate. If the destination is below minimums, or I think it is below and there's no weather reporting, then I land at that suitable airport along the way and fill up with fuel and perhaps wait a while for improvement. The truth is, if you follow the rule to the letter, and you do have to go to the alternate, and you do get 45 minutes of holding, that means that there's no fuel left to use taxiing in after landing. You'd have to get the tow bar out and pull the airplane to the gas pump, which is not a lot of fun, especially on a hot day like today. So remember, alternate requirements have to do with fuel, and fuel is something we can't do without.